Good evening. So many of y'all know that my entire time in politics, I typically wear a full suit everywhere, or like a blazer and some jeans. And as soon as I got out the car just now, somebody said, "Why are you dressed down like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't let me do nothing." I'm Congressman Christian Menifee, and I'm so proud to be your member for Congress from the 18th Congressional District of Texas. And I'm excited to be here with y'all tonight and just to give y'all a little flavor for what's going on in the House of Representatives right now. I know we got a bunch of folks here who have various levels of knowledge of our political systems, but you know, if you live in the city of Houston, you have city council, you have a mayor with city council. If you live in the unincorporated area, and also it overlaps with the city, you have county commissioner's court, the county judge, right? Then you go up to the state level, you have a state House of Representatives with 150 people. You see a lot of politicians talking about how bad this war is, but it's costing American taxpayers $1 billion a day, a week, $1 billion a week, right? And that is going to bombs. It's going to coordination, and ultimately it's killing thousands and thousands of Iranians. And at this point, we've lost about 20 U.S. service persons. In fact, a Texan just passed away last week. But think about how much times have changed, right? When George W. Bush was president, everybody remembers 9/11 and how they spun that in order to be able to go to war in Iraq. But remember, when they did that, what did they do? They tried to sell the American people. They sent Colin Powell out to the United Nations. They made the case. Now, the case was dishonest, but they still made the case. Donald Trump has done none of that. He just launched the war and didn't ask anybody's permission. So that's billions and billions and billions of dollars that could be coming back into our communities that is now being spent on a war that nobody asked for. So what are we doing about it? We filed what's called a War Powers Resolution, which is a bill that requires the president to stop what he's doing in a war and come and get permission from Congress before he can continue the war. And I'm proud to report that just this past week, it passed the House of Representatives. So we had Democrats and a few Republicans voted for it. It is now headed to the Senate. What they do up there, I'm learning very quickly, is they use a number of procedural tricks in order to avoid the will of the people. So when we passed it out of the House, the Senate immediately gavelled out and went into recess so that they wouldn't have to vote on it themselves. But at some point, that'll come before the United States Senate. We're also playing defense for our veterans. The Republicans put forth a bill that would strip veterans of various benefits. The most important benefit is home loan refinancing fees. So when I was growing up, as was mentioned, both of my parents served in the military, and we lived most of our life in military housing and in apartments. But when my parents were in high school, they got a VA loan, and that's how we were able to get our first house. Republicans put forth a bill that would make it more expensive for veterans who have a loan to refinance their loan. It also takes away mental health funding for veterans. So the bill goes to the House floor, and you know how they do. They try to spin it and make it seem like it's good for veterans, right? So we debated on the House floor, and the good news is that, and I was one of 6 or 7 members on the Democratic side who debated on that bill. And so we debated the bill, we debated it vigorously, and right before they were set to put it forth for a vote, they pulled it down. And so it did not get voted on, and it is not law right now. So it's incredible news, and we're playing defense. Across the gamut, when Donald Trump tries to do X, we push back and fight against Y. I'm sure some of y'all have heard about the reparations for criminals bill. Have y'all heard about this? So President Trump tried to backdoor into the DOJ a $1.5 billion, basically a reparations fund for folks who were prosecuted as part of the January 6, 2021 insurrection. So it would allow them to go to the fund and to be compensated. Now remember, you got people in this country whose ancestors were slaves, who built this country and were unpaid, and you got politicians who won't talk about reparations for those folks. But Donald Trump was prepared to shell out billions in reparations for people who absolutely did the thing that they were prosecuted for doing. The good news is there were some Republicans who joined Democrats in pushing back on that, and to date it has not become law, but they're going to keep pushing it forward. The worst of all of this, though, has been the